Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Jessica and this is Unite Inside, and we help people unite with all the parts inside of them. In this video, I will be talking about a very important step, or you can say tool, to use whenever you want to heal yourself. And this is very effective and mostly the first step that you should consider whenever you want to heal yourself. So why should you consider this tool? And what is it called? As you can see, it is called DisIdentification. Okay? Disidentifying with your feelings, your thoughts, your trauma, while taking every part of it as a part of you. So basically, what I mean with this is that even though you're going to be disidentifying with these parts, you'll still take them as a part of you. So you'll still care about these parts, and you still treat them as if you are them, but you just know that you are not your thoughts and your feelings. A lot of times, we think that we are our feelings, we think that we are our trauma, we are our pain, we are our thoughts, but what we really are is the observer, is the one going through it all, is the one going through the feelings, is the one going through the thoughts. That's what we really are. But we think that we are our trauma, and we start acting as if we are trauma. This is the thing. Once you start acting like you are this person, this trauma, that you are created from trauma, once you start acting from that place, what happens is that it makes it very, very hard to heal, because now you're out of control. You're in full control. Who's really in control is your feelings and your trauma. That's why it could be very, very complicated and very hard for you to heal, because who's in the driver's seat is your ego. Your ego is the one that's guiding you, okay? Whenever you have a negative thought, whenever you have, like a negative thought or a negative feeling, that negative feeling or that negative thought is guiding you, basically. It's like in the driver's seat, it's guiding you through your life. It's telling you who you are. When you feel the criticism, like your mind is criticizing you, you tell yourself that this is who you are, that you are actually this bad person, whatever your criticism is telling you, okay? So it really helps when you step back and you watch. You watch your feelings and your trauma, and when you do that, you can be in control of it. You can then take over. You need to take over your body, who you are, if you want to heal. Because a lot of times, because we think that we are our trauma and we're identifying with our trauma, it's very hard for us to guide ourselves into any sort of healing. Because the moment you have a negative thought, you identify with it and you start to act like you are the one that has that thought. You start to act like you are this negative thought. You're the one that's thinking this negative thought. Okay? But what's really going on is that your mind is what's thinking that negative thought. But you are observing your mind while it's thinking that negative thought. So this is really what's going on. Okay? And when you know and you're aware of that, you are the one feeling, not your feelings. You're just the one experiencing your feeling, okay? And when you become aware of the fact that you're the one observing your mind while it's thinking those negative thoughts, it's very easy for you to come in there and hold space for yourself while you're experiencing the negative emotion. But when you identify with your negative emotion as if it's you, who you are, it's hard to hold space for yourself, because you're too engaged that you're losing yourself in your feelings, that you're out of control with your feelings. Okay. So I'm going to share with you 2 steps that can help you disidentify with your feelings and your trauma and your mind, and that can help so that you can heal, so that you can start your healing, so that you can be the one in the driver's seat healing yourself. Okay? So let's begin. First thing you're gonna do is that you have to get into the habit of observing yourself. If you don't do this, you might not realize that you're not your feelings. You might not realize that you're not your trauma. We are very engaged in the process of feeling our trauma to the point that we forget that we're the one observing this trauma. We forget that. And when we do forget that, it could be very hard to remember who we are. We are the awareness. We are an awareness that's aware of our thoughts, that's aware of our feelings. This is a meditation that you will do every day if you want to commit to it for as long as you can, for at least as long as you can realize that you are the observer. This is what you're going to do. You will find a comfortable position, a comfortable place where you lay down and you observe how your thoughts, how your mind is like popping up your thoughts. And this is a very, very very specific process, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna observe how you're not the one thinking of those thoughts consciously, but those thoughts are just popping up on you. They're popping up in your mind. So you're not really consciously thinking of everything. Sometimes unconsciously thoughts will come up, and let that be your sign that you're not really the one thinking those thoughts. So who's thinking those thoughts? Who's popping up those thoughts in you? Your mind. Your mind is an entity of itself. Your mind is an entity of itself. It works like a machine. It gets programmed. Okay? When we go through trauma, we get programmed to think in a certain way. Okay? We get programmed to believe in certain beliefs. And life triggers those beliefs, and they just pop up from your mind. Which means that you are not your mind. Your mind is a machine of itself, and it's programmed to pop certain thoughts and beliefs whenever something reminds your mind of like a certain situation. Let's say that your mom used to always judge you. Your mom used to be a judgmental person, okay? What happens is every time she judges you, you create a certain part of you, inside of you, that judges you too, okay? And so now what happens to you is that whenever you're by yourself, without your mom, your mind has been programmed to always judge you, okay? And so it's more like that your mom became inside your own head. So it is not really you. It's your mom, your mind mimicking your mom, because that's what it's been programmed to do, okay? So that's why sometimes you might be doing something like about to do something that has something to do with you, that has something to do with your performance, okay? And you're about to do it, but then your mind is programmed to judge you because your mom used to judge you consistently. And so because your mind is programmed to do that, your mind is automatically going to get triggered and be like, what if you fuck up? What if you're a bad person? What if you don't do good? What if you're not good enough? Now you have to listen. If you were practicing the disidentification, if you were practicing how to be the observer, you will know that this is not you. Okay? You can become aware of how this is your mind, and because it's programmed to think that about you. So it is very easy to think of something else. It is very easy to consciously create another habit instead of, it's very easy to like program yourself and have like a different kind of programmation. You can, every time you have like a thought of like I'm not good enough, you could understand and become aware of how this is your mind, and this is the programmation in your mind popping up, and you could like choose to do something else. And you wouldn't choose to do, you could choose to think different thoughts. In that position, you could choose to, I'm not going to tell you to choose to think different thoughts in this position, because it is very hard to convince your mind in that moment that you're good enough. Because of how many times you've been called not good enough, it is very hard. So what I will tell you is to develop compassion for that part that feels not good enough. Okay? Every time it's saying I'm not good enough, instead of fighting with it or telling it that it is good enough, it's good to hold space. Okay? How do you hold space? You give it your empathy. You give that part your empathy. You know, like, oh, you feel not good enough. Okay? How would you empathize with that part that feels not good enough? How would you empathize with it without telling it that it's not, that it needs to change? Because how would you hold space for a while it feels not good enough? Okay, that is what will switch it. That is what will make it transform. Because whenever you tell a part that it is that it has the right to feel the way it feels, and you just provide your empathy, you just provide your compassion, and you let it be, while you're telling it that I understand that you feel not good enough. I understand that, I know that you will do better, okay? Or I know that you will do good. It could be like a quiet message that you get, that you give your subconscious mind. Every time you feel not good enough, you could say, I know that you feel not good enough right now. I understand that you feel not good enough. And I trust you that you will be good enough. And even though you don't feel that way, I trust you still. This isn't like resisting how you feel. There's a difference between saying, what are you talking about? You are good enough and you have to feel good enough. And yes, you're going to do good. This could be resisting how you feel. This could be telling that feeling that you're wrong. Okay? Whenever you tell yourself that a feeling that you have is wrong, that's exactly where that feeling is going to resist whatever information you have. Okay? But now you have to like say that you understand that you feel this way. You understand that that part of you feels not good enough. And that you think it's going to do good. Okay. So now that we have that figured out, you have to understand that whenever you are aware, the more aware you are of the fact that your feelings pop up by themselves. Your feelings, look at it as your mind is a different entity. It's like an entity that lives inside of you. And your feelings are an entity that lives inside you. The more you can look at it that way, and then you can start to see the difference, okay? After that phase, you can start to see the difference between you, which is the awareness, the observer, and those thoughts. A lot of times, those thoughts are not logical, okay? And you know that they're not logical. So why are they there? Why do you feel that way even though you think differently? The thing is, you have to start identifying with who you actually are. So what I'm saying here, find who you actually are. Whatever what you think of your trauma. For example, sometimes you might think you're good enough, but you might feel not good enough. So there is a part of you that feels not good enough, that you have to hold space for, that you have to try to interact with and understand. This is how you heal. You don't force yourself to feel differently. This is one thing. And the second thing is, you don't push your positive affirmations on your feelings so that you can feel better. This is not how you heal. You interact with the parts of you that feel bad, that feel traumatized. You attempt to understand them. You acknowledge them and you give them your compassion. Okay, this is what you do. Because a lot of times you don't need to lecture yourself. You don't need to give yourself advice for you to heal. That's not what the pain needs. What your pain really needs is your unconditional, undivided attention. That's what your pain needs. It does not need. You don't even need to tell your pain what to do. Okay, your pain is gonna do what it needs to do, which is transform to your natural state of being, which is being confident, being good, being this high vibrational being, this beautiful, healed, healthy being, this healthy being. You will go back to that naturally. It's a natural thing. A lot of times people try to force the healing. Oh, I need to heal. I'm just gonna listen to this 5 minutes of affirmations. Oh, I am beautiful. I am good. I am. But then, whenever you get triggered, that pain comes up again. That wound is being touched again, which is a big sign that this is not how you heal. You don't heal through listening to some affirmations for even for an hour. It mostly wouldn't work. What really truly works is being fully present and to let yourself feel that pain and to learn how to interact with it. This is the second thing you're gonna do. The first thing was to learn how to be the observer by committing to meditating every day for at least 15 minutes and observe your mind. Observe your feelings and look at them as two entities inside of you, okay? And identify with who you actually are, which is the awareness, okay? This is the first step. The second step would be to learn how to interact with those two entities, okay? You interact with your mind, you interact with your feelings. How do you do that? You attempt to understand, okay? A lot of times we think that we understand ourselves, but actually we don't. You know why? Because there is more to us than we know or than we think. We think that we know who we are because we think that we're the only person here. No, you have your mind, you have your programations, you have your feelings, okay? It's different. Your emotional system is like an entity that understands things differently than you, okay? So you don't know who you are actually. You have to ask yourself who you are. So a lot of times you will think that you know what's going on, but you don't know what's going on. Let me give you an example why I'm saying this. When I was interacting or learning how to interact with the parts inside of me so that I can unite all of them, what happens is that I discovered that the more I talk to a part and I interact with it and I ask it questions, the more I discover more of why it's doing what it's doing. So as a people pleaser, because I was a people pleaser, but I healed this pattern, I discovered that I thought that I was somebody that hated myself and that would disconnect from who I am and that would betray myself. But I discovered the more I interacted with the part of me that people pleased, the more I realized that that part was actually trying to protect me by not setting boundaries. I know that this is crazy, but because it didn't feel safe to set boundaries. Setting boundaries felt like putting me in a bad situation, in a scary, dangerous situation. Because every time I did set boundaries, I got punished for that. And so my body was trying to protect me by getting me to please other people because that was the only thing that was making me calm, that was calming my nervous system. So your ego will try to protect you. You will discover that every part of you, everything that it does for you is actually for you. But it's just because the consciousness is very low. Your ego's consciousness is very low. It does it in a hurtful way. So it hurts you without you knowing. Another thing that happened to me is that when I discovered that the part of me that actually always criticizes me is trying to help me. It's trying to point out everything that's not really good with me so that I can improve it and so that I don't get hurt when somebody else criticizes me. So that I can be like, oh, I'm not surprised. I already know. If someone called me ugly, I'll be like, oh, I already know I'm ugly. I already points that. But I'm not ugly, but like, that was what I thought about myself. Or not necessarily, like, for example, I would think I'm not good enough, or I would think that I'm awkward or anything. I would think a lot of things about myself that were like not, that was judgmental, okay? And I would do that so that I protect myself from other people's harms. I would harm myself first so that when others harm me, I don't get hurt. I know that this is twisted, but sometimes your logic, your mind's logic is not very like smart, okay? And so even though it's trying to help you, it's trying to help you in a very low vibrational way. That's why you need to interact with it so that you understand what's going on, okay? The more you interact with all these parts inside of you, the more you, you become more like, the more you understand yourself and you connect with yourself. And when you do that, it will be easy to transform those parts, to get for the healing to happen. Because the healing will happen once you interact with you hold space for those feelings, and they feel relaxed, and they relax, and they let themselves be felt, and then you can't force that to happen by telling yourself that you need to heal. But you can hold space for that feeling to choose whenever it wants to heal, to choose what direction it wants to go to. Because remember, it is an entity inside of you. Your trauma became, literally look at your pain as if it's an entity that has been created, and now you have to interact with it. Okay, so I hope that this helps you. This is what I wanted to share with you today, and I hope that this helped you. I promise if you follow those steps, you will learn how to heal. The healing will start occurring. It will start happening for you, okay? And I love you. If you like the videos that I make, feel free to share them and give them a thumbs up. You are free to share with me any questions, anything that you want to be, you want me to talk about or you need help with. And I love you. I hope to see you in the next video.